Think about the species of human beings, okay? We are a living organism, no different than a school of fish or a flock of birds. Human beings are a living organism. Mm-hmm. And a living organism that's going to sustain itself and begin to evolve is going to have to be able to teach one another, to learn from one another, to take care of one another, to heal one another, to create for one another, to give and serve one another. That's how an organism functions in holism. That's
all
how
together.
Something...
Yeah.
Right. So competition, hostility, prejudice, fear, anger, pain, suffering, all of that has to go. Right. And so my interest is to create a change in the species. Maybe not be the entire species, but just like the lizard that finally decided to become the salamander, he had to go through some trial and error, lose a couple limbs in the process. Yeah. But long evolutionary process, but look what the organism can do. Yeah. So I believe that we are way more capable of doing so many more amazing things. And all I want to do is say, okay, someone says I healed myself. Well, I healed myself, then I should be able to heal another person. Okay, well, now I healed myself and I healed another person. I should be able to heal a person on the opposite side of the planet. All I need is a picture, and if I'm in the field, there's no separation. So our students are doing that. Our students are healing one another. That's what the living organism does. You saw it.
Yeah.
And now students are saying, there was a great example, a woman that was in our event in Cancun in June. Her brother had a massive seizure and a stroke, and he was in a coma for 2 weeks. And she got the group together that was in the advanced week-long event in Cancun. She put a picture and sent it all to them on the internet, on the emails. They all went up, went into the field, connected with him. Within 1 hour, he got discharged from the hospital. He came out of his coma. Now,
unbelievable.
That's the next level. Yeah. So then every single experience that we create affords us the understanding of possibilities we could never, ever consider until we had that experience. So it's the unknown. I know that.
Was that new to you also? That was like a miracle moment for you?
No, it's not new, but it's now being done. So now I'm living in a time where I'm waking up in my dream. I never thought in my lifetime consciously that I would be seeing blind people seeing, deaf people hearing, tumors shrinking, Parkinson's disease going away in 1 week, people throwing their crutches down, stepping out of wheelchairs, people with strokes lifting their arms above their head and they've been paralyzed for 2 years. I mean, it's happening. Right. So then imagine a living organism that's tuned up, one mind, one heart. We should be able to reverse the events that are taking place in this world if we get really good without having to go anywhere, but not just focus on peace during our meditations and then be angry the rest of the day or hostile. No, live the prayer. Why? Because we have to do it with our eyes open as well as our eyes closed. And we got to be able to live that prayer so that we give other people permission to model us and say, wow, that guy's different. He's not predictable. He's different. And people begin to latch on to that. So What's the significance of that? Well, you witnessed coherence healing. What? You think that when we get really good at this, that you're going to, when there's a child there that's sick, are you going to put your blindfolds on and sit down and close your eyes, or they need something immediately? You got to be able to do it with your eyes open on command. Like, let's go. I know how to connect. I've practiced connecting for the last 2 years. I know when I'm connected and I know when I'm not. So just give me a second. Now let's go. Now that is mastery. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great point, and I love the idea of people doing that because they're driven by a mission. They're driven by a purpose. Right. And for me, I work really hard every day in overcoming my ego and building it up the next day. You just got to face off with it again. So you start figuring it out. You start really figuring it out, and the ego really it gets overactivated when we live in survival, because now we're getting very selfish in survival. And so teaching people how to get beyond that, because if they say, hey, look, I'm a healer and I heal someone, they got to get beyond that.
Right.
You can't walk.
It's not because it's not that. Yeah.
That's an identity. You have to get beyond that as well. And you got to get so beyond that identity that can't be a thought. That's going to disconnect you. You can't be that identity. So it's a very fine line. And I'm working with our students. I don't want students to say I'm a healer. I don't want them to say that because then that becomes another thing they have to overcome. Now they put the pressure on themselves that they have to be able to heal. All I want them to do is practice the formula, and I want to keep evolving the formula and creating conditions for them to say, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. We should be able to do this. Yeah. And that's how we continue to evolve it. And so I have a vision of where that will be. And honestly, I feel like we're ahead of schedule after this year because we've had an unbelievably powerful year this year. I'm a very passionate man. I love life. I don't hold back in my life when it comes to giving or loving or serving or learning or whatever it is. I'm the type of person that's going to explore it because I'm curious. And I've just gotten over the years, I don't really care what people think of me any longer. I really don't. I'm going to allow myself to be myself. And even my colleagues that are great scientists and authors always say, last year were saying, whoa, boy, you don't hold back at all. I said, why would I want to? Why? Because I really care what people think. If I care what people think, then I'm not authentic. So I learn, I study, and I do the work. And if you do the work every day and you're consistent with doing the work, you're going to see out of a different window. You're not going to frame reality through the lens of the victim who says that person or that experience or that condition is controlling my feelings and my thoughts. If you're telling me that, I'm going to tell you you're in the unconscious program that you're a victim. Yeah. When you start realizing the way you think and feel actually creates an outcome, then you believe you're more, and when the outcomes start happening, you're going to believe less that you're a victim of reality, more of a creator of reality. So, I'm challenged all the time. Of course, I think the greater you become, the greater your challenges become. I don't see those challenges from a level of victimization. I do my best to see them as opportunities. I always work on facing those conditions and challenges from a greater consciousness, a greater level of mind that created them. I apply the work. And I keep myself in check. And, I keep myself in check by my staff and my team. How we doing? How can we serve better? How can we serve more? What's my blind spots? Help me, just because I want to be at the point where that I can lay that down at any moment and just really, really be of service.